What's going on, everybody? I hope you're all well, and welcome back to Dragon Age Origins. As always, this is not a main episode of the Let's Play. This is going to be a Codex read-in lore discussion episode. If that's not something you're interested in, then click away now and go ahead and wait for another main episode of the Let's Play. If that is something you're interested in, then let's dive into the lore of Soldier's Peak and get our nerd on. We should have quite a few things here relating to Soldier's Peak and what happened with Sophia Dryden and the Wardens. That is just where we came from, so take a sip of my coffee here. I do always come prepared to these videos. Alrighty. We have the History of Soldier's Peak, Chapter 1. The Grey Warden base at Soldier's Peak was built in the middle of the Glory Age, several decades after the Second Blight was ended. Before then, Grey Wardens in Ferelden would take up residence in castles and forts that belonged to generous nobles. Warden Commander Gaspar Asturian desired a fortified headquarters where his forces could train and live. He planned that Soldier's Peak would be a city unto itself. The defeat of the Darkspawn of the archdemons Ezekiel was fresh in the minds of the Ferelden people, and many were willing to donate gold to build Commander Asturian's fortress. Soldier's Peak was fully completed within 10 years and dedicated to the Maker in 934 Glory. From the History of the Grey Wardens in Ferelden by Brother Genitive, Chantry Scholar. So fresh off the back of a Blight, astutely, Warden Commander Asturian decided to ask for a headquarters so he could train Wardens. Now everybody just having been ransacked by the Darkspawn gladly accepted this trade, and honestly I don't blame him. Who wouldn't want to have a Grey Warden outpost on their lands? I'm sure that'll do all kind of wonders, not even just against Darkspawn. Like if I'm a bandit and I know there's a fortress in like a Bann full of Grey Wardens, I'm not looting shit. The History of Soldier's Peak, Chapter 2. As he approached his 60th year, rumors swirled that the corruption in Warden Commander Asturian's blood was beginning to take its toll. According to reports from that time, the commander experienced terrifying waking dreams and heard his name whispered from the dark corners of Soldier's Peak. It is said that Asturian would spend hours locked up alone in the great hall of the base, muttering to himself, though no one was ever able to make out what he was saying. Many also believed that Asturian began, in secret, to draw up plans to expand his fortress, adding to it hidden passages and alcoves, all to protect himself from the shadows that pursued him. No one knows whether Asturian was able to complete his project, for his deterioration had become obvious to anyone who spent any amount of time with him. He was quickly replaced by Warden Commander Frida Hallwick. Asturian was taken to Orzammar, where he submitted to the calling, the last ride of the Grey Wardens, and went to his death with honor. From the History of Grey Wardens in Ferelden by Brother Genitive, Chantry Scholar. And essentially what this is, by submitting to the calling, when Wardens get old and the taint starts to play too many mind games on them, starts to take its toll on their body, rather than spiral into madness like he was, they go into the deep roads to spend their last days, weeks, however long they have, fighting Darkspawn. It is a very honored Grey Warden right. To be respected. He died with honor and he achieved a good end. The History of Soldier's Peak, Chapter 3. After Asturian's death, the rumors and theories became increasingly outlandish. One of the more ridiculous rumors told of Asturian's infatuation with an elven princess of law, whom he was trying to resurrect in a secret ritual chamber through the use of blood magic and the princess's favorite food, raspberry jam. Warden Commander Frida Hallwick launched a thorough investigation into Asturian's secret plans, but was unable to uncover any evidence that anything in Soldier's Peak had been changed. Commander Hallwick declared that the rumors about Asturian were a slight on his memory, and that anyone found repeating them would be harshly punished. The stories were thus silenced. From the History of Grey Wardens in Ferelden by Brother Genitive, Chantry Scholar. We did indeed find raspberry jam up in the tower, so might be some kind of truth to that, or maybe he just liked toast. Suppose we'll never know. The History of Soldier's Peak, Chapter 4. There was one mystery, however, that persisted, and this mystery perplexed even Commander Hallwick herself. When Commander Asturian went to his calling in the deep roads, he did not have in his hand his sword, Asturian's Might, forged for him by dwarven smiths and presented to him upon the completion of Soldier's Peak. Nor did he pass the sword on to his successor, or to any other Grey Warden. While some maintained that Asturian had simply destroyed the sword in his dotage, others believed he had stashed it away somewhere in Soldier's Peak. One young warden claimed that Asturian had once grabbed him by the shoulders, fixed him with an unwavering gaze and said, The sword will remind you what it is to be a warden. Speak your oath to me when the shadows come. You must speak the words. What this was supposed to mean was never made clear. From the History of Grey Wardens in Ferelden by Brother Genetive, Chantry Scholar. What that did mean is that if you recited the Warden Oath in front of the painting of Asterion in his fortress, you got his hidden cache, which had his sword, his bell, and I believe there was one more thing in there that I'm not recalling. He did leave his sword behind for any future wardens smart enough to crack that code. Gotta love getting a hidden sword out of the wall. Glad nobody else found it. Heirlooms of the Wardens are very valuable, if not monetarily, then just for honor's sake. Sophia Dryden. Sophia Dryden is Ferelden's light and her most brilliant jewel. Nothing on this earth can ever quench her fire. Our lesser Sophia Dryden was the young Arlen's rival for the throne of Ferelden. Dryden was a strong and charismatic leader with much support from the Bann. When Arlen finally won the crown, Dryden refused to relent. She pushed her claim, was caught, and accused of treason. Her sympathizers continued to support her, however. In order to appease them, Dryden was spared execution and forced to join the Grey Wardens instead. Dryden survived the joining and dazzled the Wardens at Soldier's Peak with her leadership skills and charm. She eventually rose through the ranks to become the Warden Commander of Ferelden. Before Commander Dryden, the Grey Wardens were seen as a relic of an older time and an unnecessary drain on the nobles' coffers. Dryden, though, with her political connections, reinvigorated the Wardens and rapidly increased their numbers. In the meantime, King Arlen proved himself a devious king, willing to go to brutal lengths to silence his opponents. Arlen's reign of terror grew worse with each passing year, and some of the bands approached Commander Dryden in desperation, begging her to intercede. She agreed, and thus was the rebellion against King Arlen born. Arlen learned of the rebellion and took steps to end it. He publicly suspended all tithing to the Grey Wardens and declared that they were no longer welcome in Ferelden. Some of the Wardens, mindful that they were supposed to remain politically neutral, felt disgraced by Dryden's involvement in Ferelden politics and left her side, even as the king's forces lay siege to Soldier's Peak. The siege took months and ended with the death of Sophia Dryden. From the personal files of Levi Dryden, Merchant. Addendum. King Arlen had driven the Grey Wardens from Ferelden, and after the siege of Soldier's Peak, the base was abandoned. When Soldier's Peak was finally entered again for the first time in centuries, it was discovered that Sophia Dryden had been possessed by a demon. And that demon gave us a little inkling into Sophia's motivation. Not all of this was out of the kindness of her heart, like this would imply that she did that for the sake of the pleading Bann. That's not quite what happened. She did seem to hold on to some resentment from this, where she lost the I guess the election, kinda. Although Arlen was a tyrant and he did need to step down, I will reiterate that Warden's neutrality is very important, and as it says here, she had the Wardens up and running in spectacular potency, and if she hadn't done this and gotten them evicted from Ferelden, then Duncan might not have lost his life. There would have been a lot more Wardens, a lot better equipped to Ostagar to face off against the Horde. Might have thrown a wrench in Lorgaine's plans too. Really, if you trace it back, she could have prevented a lot of this game from even happening had she just not decided that she wanted the throne. Right, books and songs. Sophia Dryden's Journal. 21 Illuviesta. It is done. The nobles have thrown their lot in with Arlen. Arlen the snot-nosed man-child. Arlen who did not walk till he was in his 5th year. Arlen who had to be pried off his nursemaid's breast not 2 years ago, or so it is whispered. The Terns and the Arls believe him to be a simpleton and easily led, but I have seen something in the boy's eye, and it terrifies me. 10 Molioris. I watched the summer day processions from a room high in Fort Draken. The regent has me for treason, when my only guilt is of being true to my country and my heart. My guard's tongue was easily loosened with the gift of a ruby ring, and I am told that the bands are fighting against my sentence. I shall pray, but not hope, that it will be anything but the gallows for me. 2 for Ventus. The draught was like bitter fire, but I survived. Weep for me, for I survived. Would that they had made a clean end for me. I should have died a lady, the greatest of the Drydens, not live to become this nothing, this monstrous nothing. 19 Mitronalis. Enough. I shall waste no more time with wretched womanish lamentation. Death would have been easy, but fate saw fit to spare me, and I will seize upon this chance. The Grey Wardens are an army, and the old commander is weak, a wisp of a man. I will inspire the Wardens, and Arland will rue the day he spared my life. Select entries from the journals of Warden Commander Sophia Dryden. And there you have it. As I suspected, almost her entire career as a Warden Commander was based on the fact that she wanted to rebel and eventually take the throne for herself. So she is indeed a disgrace to the Warden attire. And all of this for pride and for a stupid chair. Ferelden is now on the brink of destruction because she wanted to sit on a chair. The hearts of men will never cease to amaze me. She had a chance to be something that meant way more than just a king or a queen, and she threw it away. And almost doomed the land in the process. Pride and envy are two hell of emotions. Notes. A letter from Bann, Mathuin Wulff. Sophia. Our Ruin and his entire family have been slaughtered, even the children. The Ruin line is no more, and the Arling belongs to the crown, for now. Arland believed Ruin was plotting against him. Ruin criticized the king's spending on Winter's End, that is all. It was an idle word, spoken out of turn. The king goes too far. His brain is filled with madness, and he clings to the crown like a drowning man clutches at a straw. Sophia, I beg you, help us. If nothing is done, more will suffer. Your humble servant, Wulff. Now, I'm not saying her ultimate cause here wasn't good. If she wasn't a warden, I might even support her, but she had a greater calling. What good is a good queen or a king in a land that's destroyed utterly and completely by the Blight? You know, Arland wouldn't have lived forever, but the Wardens being evicted from Ferelden for 200 years because of her actions certainly left more of an impact than King Arland did. And we know that because Ferelden is still alive and well with a good king. Well, at the start of the game, a good king. Despite their rebellion failing. So her little rebellion wasn't all that important after all. She did way more evil than good with her little flauntering around. Avernus's notes. The taint allows us to sense the Darkspawn. The longer we survive with the taint in our blood, the more potent it becomes. Unfortunately, this corruption will eventually overwhelm the Warden. Over time, it devours both mind and body, leaving nothing. But what if the spread of the corruption could be stopped, or contained in some way? What if the Warden could become more powerful, without having that power kill him? How great would that power be? Would it be enough to stop the demons? The joining ritual is crude. We take into ourselves the blood of the Darkspawn in the most obvious way. Most die from the corruption immediately. It is, after all, poison. There must be some way to refine the joining, isolate the true power that is found in Darkspawn blood, and leave behind the evil that kills us. I can feel the corruption starting to take its toll on my body. I must not succumb. There is too much work to be done. Through my magic, I've been able to slow its inevitable spread, but not stop it completely. I am starting to hear things, even while awake. A voice, more beautiful than any other, that calls to me from the depths. In my dreams, I see the Black City, and I am drawn towards it. There is something there, an answer to what this taint is, this taint that we share with the Darkspawn, from the notes of Avernus. And now, obviously, Avernus's entire motivation for the torturous bloodshed that he committed up in Soldier's Peak was just so that he wouldn't die. He even has his own little justifications here about how much work is left to be done. We went ahead and put an end to that. Couldn't have him continue to stay in the crest. We did go ahead and take the potion, though, to get at least the Wardens that already died not to be completely in vain. They did help at least our cause after we avenged them. A plea from Commander Athlar. Soldier's Peak is more than we bargained for. There is sinister magic at work here. The men are seeing things and cannot tell nightmares from reality. The fallen return to life to attack again and again, and we are assaulted by dark creatures the likes of which I have never seen. Whoever is responsible is intent on destroying us all, the King's army and the Grey Wardens both. Send help. We cannot last much longer. Commander Athlar. And I believe this was probably the commander of Arlen's forces, and I'm sure he got clapped just like the Wardens did. I'm pretty sure we killed his skeleton actually inside the keep. I don't think backup was ever given though. I'm pretty sure the demons Avernus summoned just wiped out both sides and then it was never investigated again. I think they just left it all to rot. Probably for the best actually. And enabled us to go up there and take care of it. Group of bandits or the king's men would have probably just let them all out, gotten themselves possessed and added to the demon army we would have eventually had to kill. Right, that is the end of the Codex relating to Soldier's Peak, so I'm going to wrap this episode here, guys. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please subscribe, leave a like and a comment. If you want to support the cause and help improve the channel, there is a tip link in the description below. Otherwise, stay tuned and I'll see you guys soon with more Dragon Age Origins. Take care, guys. Have a good day.